Let it rip.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Sorry for the brief hiatus. I took a little bit of a vacation, needed to charge the batteries a little bit. Um, so yeah, you haven't heard my voice probably for a little bit unless you saw my recent happiness video, which uh, if you haven't seen that one yet, please check that out. But also check out my good friend Dread's video about this amazing show called Decadence and how you shouldn't sleep on it. Right, Dread? You should not sleep on Decadence? Is that something that you would say?
Well, according to me and Jeff, though.
You should be honored. I've never had a video title taken by Mother's Basement yet.
That's funny because when he got his channel name taken, not even like completely, I forget who by, but it was like Mom's Basement or something that somebody was doing. He like got
It was an
all
actual
pissy about it.
it was an actual YouTuber of a guy recording his mom's basement. Like that's what his content was about. Um but maybe someday he'll make a video about top 5 anime girls he wants touching his feet.
Sango.
The world can only hope. Oh, you if he puts Sango at number 1, then he's a smart man and I'll subscribe.
What if
Um
what if he puts one of the new Inuyasha characters?
uh I mean maybe he's into that. I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I haven't. I some of the character designs in that trailer are okay. I like some of them. I really hate some of the voice work a bit going on, but that's an argument for another day, I suppose. Um, so we've been gone for a little bit, so we're gonna cover Decadence episodes 5 and 6 these last 2 weeks, and give general thoughts about them. But like overall, sort of like blanket statement. If you only hear this part of the video, whatever, I am still uh, falling in love with the show, kind of with every week because I do think it's bold. I think it's pretty innovative, and I think it's got some nards between its legs. It is not scared to do certain things, to take leaps, and I think some of that is, being an anime original and everything. And I like how it's unfolding. There are some things that I would have probably like. I guess it's more for the future episodes that I want to see. I'd like to see some more Natsume perspective. On the other hand, on the other side of that, I am loving how Kaburagi is really coming into his own as a character. Um, Episode 5, I like the action sequences a lot. I love the effect of the gravity with the blood when they're fighting. What is it, Gadol Alpha?
Mm-hmm.
Our first big boss fight. Um, uh, and it just shows a lot of the naive nature of the tankers. Um, because Kaburagi knows a whole lot more of what's going on here, and this is like Natsume's like first big fight, and she's super excited and going into it, but doesn't really realize the I don't think like a lot of the not really thinking about like the ramifications of what's going on, and she gets a quick reminder when people start dying all around her and getting sliced, cut up all around her. Did you like the How did you feel about the action sequences in episode 5?
In episode 5, they were really fucking good.
Yeah.
But I'm less concerned about 5, and 6 was my favorite out of the two.
Mm-hmm.
5 was basically just the action episode
Mm-hmm.
where, you know, Natsume and Ko killed Alpha, and we got to see Decadence, the fortress, get its moment in the light.
Yeah, did its
Nothing
super move.
nothing really happened in terms of the story until the very end with the director.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens in episode 6 I found way more interesting in the span of the whole story.
Okay. Um, I also I did enjoy 6. I did mention that I kind of liked 5 better, but I think that was just my Neanderthal brain kicking in of just I liked how the action looked a lot, and I really liked the impactful moment of Kaburagi getting shot at the end.
Oh well, yeah, that's the highlight of that.
And I do also I did really enjoy the second boss, the hidden boss,
Stargate.
the second boss that they had that wasn't ready yet. And even though he wasn't, whatever was not fully ready and was kind of unstable and looked like falling apart and whatnot, I still liked the way it looked a whole lot. Um, and I just like the scale of it. I like how just because you as an audience and Kaburagi know so much more than the other humans, than the tankers. I just love their sense of like accomplishment for what is, they're like, oh, there's such a hard fight with what they with this Godal Alpha, what they perceive as to be the end all be all sort of thing, and then you just get shown this gigantic other monster that is a behemoth, and they have to use Decadence's super mega dragon fist punch
And
cannon.
so with Stargate, you bring up something that I kind of mentioned a few weeks back, where we were talking about what the Godals actually are.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say a couple weeks ago, I did say that there's a possibility that they might be manufactured by somebody.
Yeah, and then episode 6 happens, and we actually fucking see them coming out of a tube,
Now,
a hose thing.
I wonder if they're completely synthetic life forms, or if they're like there's one cell of a Godal that existed years and years ago that they're just replicating Godals off of.
Yeah, I am curious to find out more on that, because I don't like, and they're perceived as just like they're just such a like a even when they're being created, they're almost like this like throwaway item for the people that are creating them. Like they're like sort of like barely paying attention to it. It's almost like, I don't know, I don't really want to say like assembly line of it, but you could tell that this is something that they do on a fairly regular basis. And it just, I don't know. I'm really liking this the scale that this show has, and I'm it just makes me more and more curious. Like I mentioned that I wanted more Natsume perspective. I love where Kaburagi has developed as a character. I like him a lot. I like how he has actual like emotion now, and he is starting to sort of actually take action and fight the good fight. You would
I
think.
like how we didn't get this bait and switch where, Natsume, this, cute little anime girl is the main character, and then you get laid on with Kaburagi, who's a boring nobody. They kind of tricked us into thinking that, yes, Natsume was the main character until Kaburagi really took the limelight, but he's not this boring motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. I am very happy that he's not a boring motherfucker. He is a very cool motherfucker, even in his
Well,
little chibi form.
that was proved in his fight against Donatello.
Oh, the fight with Donatello. Okay, so oh, that reminds me, I could pull up my cool image of my boy Donatello here. Um, uh, so Donatello. This is also interesting to me because Donatello, if I remember correctly, and Turkey and them were from like the previous team that he worked with, or he fought alongside them. Correct?
Yeah, I believe so in the flashback
Right.
in like episode 2 or 3.
Yeah, and I assumed that they were dead. Like I thought that it was like game over for them entirely when you get when the chairman or what director um
Scrapped you.
scraps you, takes your green goop. And I sort of expected that to, probably everyone expected that to happen to Kaburagi. But no, we get they're like, oh, we have another. The plan is sort of different for you, and he gets sent into this like literal shithole.
So that begs the question as to when we were told like about scrapping, like obviously there's two different things going on. There's the scrapping and there's the rehab facility.
Mm-hmm.
But between the two of them, like clearly Turkey and Donatello didn't get scrapped. So they got sent here.
Mm-hmm.
So what we saw with Donatello, we probably didn't see the whole interrogation.
Right. I was wondering, like, was anybody fully scrapped?
That too, yeah.
Like, or is that just
Or
a fate that doesn't really happen? Maybe it's meant to just keep the people in line in fear. Because why wouldn't they
according to
scrap?
according to Sark, there's no leaving the facility at all.
Mm-hmm. Like, why wouldn't they scrap Kaburagi?
After him betraying the system, yeah.
And literally saying like the world needs bugs, like just so against everything they seem to stand for. I don't know. It's
So
just
I have to bring this one thing up about Turkey, though.
Sure.
I believe it was Turkey. He was like the gray robot, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Did he for any reason remind you of Roberto from Futurama?
Roberto's the robber, right?
Yes.
The guy with the knife. The guy.
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
I wasn't the only one that thought that, right?
If you thought that, let us know down below in the comments, or just watch the episode and then look up Roberto from Futurama. Oh, yep. Um, and like I mentioned, like okay, I was saying that I enjoyed 5. 6 had good action. I liked that sequence with Donatello and Kaburagi. The little 1v1, the respectful 1v1 that they had, where you find out that like Kaburagi had the boosters on his feet or whatever the entire time, and he's like, they both said a similar line or the same line where they're like, "Oh, you had this," and he's like, "I chose not to use
but
it
I
during
didn't
the fight
use it
because Donatello has a gun, like a cannon or something."
Yeah.
And he's like, I didn't use it during the fight. So it's this cool like.
Understanding between them.
Yeah, I love like you remember in like Cowboy Bebop where it's Vicious fighting Spike at one point. And I don't remember if it's their fight early on or if it's from the final one. But there's a moment where Vicious is a swordsman and obviously Spike has a gun. And there's a moment where their weapons get jumbled and swapped. And they stop, and there's just this brief pause, and it's really fucking cool. And out of like cool ass badass motherfucker respect, one of them Vicious knocks the gun over to Spike, and Spike flips the sword back to Vicious. And I don't know, just like that among like anime fights, that's one of my like favorite like moments, even though it probably could be corny as hell for some people.
It's been such a long time since I've seen Bebop that I don't even remember that.
Oh, dude, that moment is so fucking cool. But this show continues to really impress me, and I'm glad that it's getting a whole lot of people actually talking about it now. Let it be known on the internet that Dread and I were first. Nana Nana Boo Boo, stick your head in doo doo. Everyone that's getting way more views than me. But we were talking about this. Us and AH Brandon were like the only ones. And now multiple people. But it's good. It's good. I want this show to get exposure. Down the line, I do want some more Natsume perspective. I really hope that, like, we got, what, for 5 more episodes? Or, let's see, it would be...
Supposedly 6.
So 6 more episodes. We've got a lot still to go. I really want to know, like, I am glad that, like, sort of part of my prediction from a week or so or 2 weeks ago or so, that we spending more time like outside of Decadence, like seeing sort of like I was saying the surface world, but we see more. It's more the shithole and the sort of
Well,
background of the fucking of the corporation or whatever it is.
okay, so since you specify the surface world,
Yeah.
we kind of got a glimpse as to how that worked when Kaburagi was thrown out of the interrogation room. It looked like he was flung down
Mm.
onto the surface, which tells me that cyborgs are living above Earth.
Well, didn't they say they were at the bottom of a lake?
The rehabilitation facility is.
Right. So,
So this tells me that the cyborgs are living above Earth, and
mm-hmm.
the Godals clearly are being made on Earth by people in the game because they
Yeah.
took on avatar form.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not actually the cyborgs that are making it. And after they had cleared in episode 5, after they had cleared Godal Alpha and Stargate, the landscape just digitally changed and a bunch of Godals appeared. So I remember saying something about a projection as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like what we're seeing of Earth is clearly just the cyborgs fucking with humanity. I don't think that what we know about Earth, about how it went through that terrible pollution or whatever happened in the late 2400s, might necessarily be true. I think this is more that robots became too smart for humankind's own good and outsmarted them.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I hold the perspective of just I don't fully know what happened or like what is going to happen, and I have similar doubts to what I've been told, and I think you would have to
Because we were told everything in episode 1 by Solid Quake.
right, right, and none of it seems like trustworthy or anything. Like you can't you feel really bad for the humans involved, for the like tanker people like involved, because they have their own veil over everything that they are experiencing, and even us as an audience, like we have a little more. Well, we think that we have a little more knowledge than them, but what do we really know? What did Kaburagi really know? Like he, I'm sure he had perceptions of what was going on that aren't like 100%. He probably thought 100% that he was going to get scrapped, and then something saved him. Um, so there's a lot to unfold in this world. Um, I really like Kaburagi as a character. Um, uh, and it's I am excited to see him really start to challenge uh, challenge the world. I was about to say it sounds corny as hell, but whatever. Challenge what is happening here, and I really want to know what what actually happened with humanity. Like I think that the first week we talked about this, or it might have been episode 2. It might have been when they started to get like more reveals of the cyborgs and everything. I was talking about how like I was most interested in like the anthropology aspect of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because that still interests me the most. Like I like the knowing about like the relationship between these societies and the history behind it, and the coexistence or like the using or just the relationship between them. And I want that, and I want more Natsume. I really want to see some more Natsume. Actually would be really cool. Some more Kurenai would be cool for other reasons. But I also ship Kurenai Kaburagi pretty hard. And she's gonna have to find out that he's a cyborg boy. Um,
Yeah, let's see how that works out. Because he can live hundreds of her lifetimes with enough oxyone.
yeah, yeah, uh, that's gonna be interesting. I do. I like her. I like her and I's character too. She has a little kind of a nice little heart to heart moment with um Natsume in here. They're sitting back thinking about Kaburagi. Um, and I want to see Natsume sort of, I'm gonna say, follow the footsteps of Kaburagi, but in the sense of finding out what you really want and going after it, because I think I think she has a pretty good grasp on like what she wants, but obviously it's through like naive vision, because she doesn't really like.
I have a feeling now she's going to find something out about the world that she doesn't want to know, and it might involve her family.
Yeah, I'm still curious as to what the dad's connection to all this is.
Because there's got to be a reason that she that her parents died in the beginning. It wasn't. I don't think it was just, oh, feel bad for the main girl.
I don't think there's a lot of uh, I don't think there's like any coincidences in this series,
No,
and I really hope that we get a cool sort of unfolding as to what the hell is going on. But I was a really big fan of these episodes. I'm excited to move forward. Is there anything you want to see kind of like going forward? Like, do you want more Kaburagi's perspective or more Natsume's perspective? Because I don't. It's not that I dislike Kaburagi, but I do think that the balance has sort of shifted more towards him, and I think that that's fine. I think the story's being told very well. But I mean, we do have 7 episodes, so like,
I
what do you
I
want in the
think
future?
we got to be careful with how we look at Natsume's perspective. Like Kaburagi's the guy that knew all this to be not all of it, but he knew a lot about the world to begin with because of the fact that he's a cyborg. Natsume lives on the Earth that's being played with by the cyborgs. So I feel like if she figured out anything too early, she might feel like Kaburagi's her enemy. So I think the best point for her to figure anything out and to start going to her perspective is the next episode, because Kaburagi is going back into Decadence, and from what the underground residents told him, he's going to be a completely new avatar and going to have to try to convince her who he is.
Yeah,
So we're going to see from a different perspective how Natsume views things like trust. And I think all of that's important before he dumps something on her like the world's not as you know it.
yeah. It's gonna be like, I feel like it's gonna be like so hard to like. I don't know if she'd be the hardest to convince, but I think like, let's say Kaburagi wanted to also tell like Kurenai.
I think she'd
Or
be willing to believe it. I have a hard time believing that they aren't starting to see something go on here, especially when
Stargate.
the environment changed and the Gadals just appeared.
I
Because
think
Natsume flashed back to Kaburagi saying that the war would never end.
yeah.
And she was like, "Is this what you meant?" I
Hmm.
mean, clearly they had to see the sky have that visual effect. That's not normal.
Right. Um. But yeah, I'm super excited for future Decadence. I want so much. I hope I'm not slapping too much expectation on the series, but I mean, I think it's kind of warranted with how much it's surprised me, because it just really has. And I
I
think it's
mean,
probably going to continue to do so.
50% through, and it's
Hmm.
only maintaining quality.
Right.
My biggest fear is we get to episode 11, right? And it's been going all the way through, and then they drop the ball at the ending. That right now, that's my biggest fear, because I think if we make it through 6 episodes, we're fine.
Yeah.
So the next 5 will probably be fine, but I'm worried about that 12th one.
Well, we know it can't be a go read the manga ending.
That's true.
But yeah. What did you guys think of episodes 5 or 6 of Decadence, or Decadence as a whole? Let us know down below. Please also check out Dreade's channel. He has a really cool video about Don't Sleep on this series, and has a bunch of other content as well. And yeah, hopefully we will get around to the next episode next week. I want to thank everybody that has been supporting me on Patreon. You guys are really awesome. I'll have a link to that in the description box if you want to join that yourself. But thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. My name is Miasma, and I'll see you next time. See ya.